Have you ever wanted to play as a Clash of Clans character in Elden Ring? Well, boy do I have a build for you. In this video, I'm going to be playing as the wizard from Clash of Clans. Supercell, please sponsor me. As you can see, I've done my best to create him in Elden Ring, but the character creator is not the greatest, so don't mind that he looks a little Asian, I couldn't fix that. Anyway, I picked the Prophet as my starting class, so that way I started with some fire spells and a decent stat range. I wanted to give myself some rules on this build of what I was allowed and not allowed to do. Rule number 1, I am only allowed to wear armor that makes me look like wizard. This includes Fairy Robe, the Blue Cloth Vest, the Ruler Robe, or the Tree Surcoat. For hoods, I say the Great Hood or the Navy Hood. For gauntlets, it would be the Champion Bracers. And for pants, it would be the Drake Knight Greaves, the Leather Boots, or the Bandit Boots. Rule number 2, I am only allowed to use incantations that are fire and lightning based. This is the main rule because, well, that's what wizard uses, fire and lightning. I do want to have some sort of flexibility, so I'm not forcing myself to only use specific incantations of each. I'm not that much of a masochist. These two things are the main rules of my build, so starting out, I gotta strip naked and go find myself some pants. First things first, let's get insulted.
Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless, without guidance.
As I've said, I've allowed myself only pants that look similar to wizard's pants, so the only pair that I can get right off the bat are Patch's pants. I removed the heal spell because that's not allowed. I then meet up with my imaginary girlfriend.
I offer you an accord. I can play the role of maiden.
Let's go, I don't have to get insulted anymore.
I bequeath to you this ring.
Acquire the horse. Then I make my way to the Third Church of America. I grab the Wondrous Physics Flask, and I take the teleporter to the Beast Sanctuary. I then run down the hill and sit at the bonfire and get teleported to the Round Table Hold.
I can take you to the Round Table Hold.
At the Round Table Hold, I talk to Brother Corrin and get the Flame Sling, the other starter incantation. I make sure to equip the incantation. I make my way to the Merchant in the South to grab the lantern, so that way I can see in Patch's dark-ass cave.
Have a safe.
I then fight off the red dude outside the cave. I make sure to utilize the gank to the max.
Personal belongings, huh? You scheming little thief! The gods demand repentance! Cough up your coin! All of it!
I make my way through the cave and find Patch's chest and proceed to beat his ass.
Wait, please! I surrender! White flag and all!
He begs for mercy, but I roast him alive and take his pants.
It was bound to happen someday.
Now you won't have to stare at Wizard's bare ass anymore. I go grab the turtle talisman located here, so that I'm able to have some better stamina regen for Margit. Then I make my way to Kayla to grab another incantation. It's located right here. This incantation's kinda ass, and I never really used it against any bosses, but if you want it, here it is. I then go and talk to Ronnie because
May I have a word?
I'm not gonna use it, I just like talking to her. Man, why are there no real women in this game? After crying at another loss of a maiden, I go and fight Margit.
Foul tarnished.
This whole boss fight was not too bad. I really just relied on Catch Flame and kind of spammed it on him on repeat. Catch Flame does very decent damage this early in the game, and it's pretty fast. I was a little rusty on my first try, Second try, he goes down, and the first of many bosses is now under my belt. Good thing I grabbed a pair of pants. I go and grab the Dragon Shield Talisman underneath the Beast Sanctuary. I'm going to assume most of you know how to get down here, but if you don't, this is a very quick montage of me making my way down. Also, here's a location on the screen of where this is, if you don't know. Then I go back to Hell, or Caelid, and grab the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation that's nestled in between these two big heads on wheels. This one is pretty important, as it does boost your fire damage by 15%, and I pretty much use it the whole playthrough. I make my way to the Erdtree avatar that's located here, and get the bubble tier. I then go grab this lightning incantation that's located here, but it also wasn't very good, so I didn't really use it that much. I then booked my way through Stormveil Castle. Trust me, you don't need to see it. And now it's time to fight Godrick.
The lowly tarnished, I command thee.
Godrick's fight went down pretty much the same as Margit's. The best incantation in my arsenal was still Catch Flame. For a guy that breathes fire with his big dragon arm, he still takes a lot of fire damage. Let me tell you, my butt was clenched. And the flame sling came in handy in the end.
I am the Lord of all that is golden. Gold. What a pathetic excuse for a law. Oh! Hello. This...
Now, after the boss fight, talk to Godskin after he's curbing Godrick into the ground, and you can now buy some new boots. I definitely prefer these boots over Patch's boots. I don't know, I think they fit wizard style a little more. Wow, it's too foggy out here, I can't even see the academy. If this was my first time playing this game, I'd be pretty sad to see this. Oh, there it is. I then go grab the Faith Talisman that's located here to boost my faith by 5. Now it's time to head over to the Artist Shack. Just to the south of this area is a knight that if you kill him, you'll get the incantation book filled with lightning spells. And one of them is pretty good. This fella got the best of me at first. But then, with my new and improved strategy, there was nothing he could do against me.
Ah, well then.
I bring the book back to Corrin,
That is a work of the Erdtree.
and now I'm able to get 2 more incantations, once I get enough runes for it. I then remember that I can actually go get the gauntlets that I need, and I could have got them earlier, but that's okay. With the lightning book in my possession, it is now time to make my way through Raya Lucaria. I forget to grab the key. I grab the key. Then I go through the barrier. Then I do a 180 and run down the hill towards the entrance that I just came in from. and talk to the merchant that is placed here.
Well, it's been an age since How can I help?
Here, I can buy my first piece of chest armor that somewhat resembles the wizard. I mean, look, it's blue. What more do you want from me? Run over to the camp that is located here and grab the Fire Monk book. While I'm over here, I might as well kill Tubby. Tubby here drops the incantation that he uses, and it comes in handy later.
That is a work of heresy.
Bringing the book back to Corrin, I now have 2 more incantations I can use. I purchase the lightning spear and equip it, but then I realize one small thing. I need money. So I'm gonna go get money. With my newfound money, I have no idea where that came from, I can now buy all the incantations that I'd given Corrin and increase my level a little bit more. Now it's time to blast my way through Rhea Lucaria. I finally make it to the Wolf of Radagon. This fight was actually really easy, and I beat him in my first try. I then go grab the Radagon icon that is in the rafters of the boss arena. This thing was really good early on, as I didn't have very high dex, and it really shortened the cast time. I skillfully dodged the ball. Beat up Moongrum. And then make my way to Rennala. For Rennala, this was a very interesting fight. I used a mix of fire and lightning, and the first phase, lightning was really good for killing all the children, and then using O Flame for whenever she falls. The second phase was a lot harder. I couldn't beat it in my current state, so I decided to go to the Heartless Plateau and gather some more things that could help me with this fight. First, I went and grabbed the other half of the medallion. Forgot to record me grabbing the first half. I then used the 2 halves to travel to the Altus Plateau. Now that I've made it here, I go and purchase some new chest armor from the merchant located here. I think this one looks a lot better than the last one I had. I mean, it looks pretty accurate, right? Besides the chainmail. I then go and grab the navy hood from these fine ladies over yonder, located here. I do wish you could remove the cape from the hood, but beggars can't be choosers. I go and I kill Margit again, but this time he has a stroke and he's unable to move, so I just repeatedly blast the shit out of him with lightning. I grab some more chest armor located here, but I'm not the biggest fan of this color as it's more purple, but maybe I'll use it later. I also go and get the Mirai robe, but it's also not quite the color blue I'm looking for, so I've just decided I'm going to stick with the Blue Knight's armor that I have for now.
Of the last queen of Caria, Rennala of the full moon.
With all of these things, I am now able to take on Rennala. It takes a bit more work to get the timing down on the openings. Her resistances are really annoying though. Hitting her with the power of Zeus in the second phase worked out in the end.
My dear daughter, into me.
As you probably know, the only way to enter the capital is to kill the Draconic Tree Sentinel that is parked right out in front of the door. What you might not know is that he's heavily resistant to fire and lightning. He was a big roadblock for this build, and at this point of my build, I was getting pretty weak and needed to go into the capital to get some more items that would help me do more damage. I decided to go and get the talisman from Millicent that you have to kill her for. I first went and talked to Gowry, then I went and killed Commander O'Neill in order to get the needle. I brought the needle back to Gowry. I had to reload the area, so he would give me the correct needle. I went and gave the needle to Millicent. I reloaded the area, and then she is standing and will give you the dexterity talisman. Then it was time to murder her. So sad.
Imagine it ending like this.
All you have to do is go back to Gowry's shack and kill him, because he's super depressed. I have never done the quest like this before, but I mean, it is a faster way to get this talisman. So this talisman gives you an 8% damage boost to incantations. And this talisman does less than the Faith Talisman. Well, that was a waste of time. It will come in handy later though. I then decided to take the portal over to Radon and get ready for the festival.
Champions, come! The Radon Festival!
I felt that this was my only time to get the true Clash of Clans experience. So, I went ahead and summoned everyone that I could for this fight, just for the fun of it. Everyone I summoned eventually died, and at this point I wanted to just go ahead and try to solo Radon. Maybe if you would have pressed the dodge button. So I went ahead and tried it again. Big nuke. I got saved by the swords there so hard. Wasn't ready for the quick chop though. Ignore the fact that I'm missing all of my lightning bolts here though. Took me my third try, then I was able to take him down. The Clash of Clans battle had been won.
I wanna know your name, wanna know everything about you, girl. Wanna know your name. I wanna know your name, wanna know everything about you, girl. Wanna know your name. I wanna know your name, wanna know everything about you, girl. Wanna know your name.
I then went and killed Godfroy the Grafted. He's located at the Ever Jail here. This fight took me longer than I would like to talk about, but I developed a winning strategy, and I got the talisman that he drops. After equipping this talisman, and redoing my build a little bit, I am now doing a whopping 5 more damage. Probably just because I leveled up. I had to resort to using Lightning Bolt on him. It was the only way to make sure that the timing was perfect enough to get the attack off. The Charge Talisman did help in the beginning, because he's not aggroed at first, and I was able to wind up a big attack and hit him with it and do a lot of damage in the beginning. In hindsight, I should have gotten the Lightning Crack tier that makes you do more lightning damage for this fight, but I was stupid.
Here, I can govern my own movement, and thus, the accord is fulfilled.
I say goodbye to my imaginary girlfriend and make my way through the capital. From the bonfire right before the gargoyle, there's a knight below here that drops the seal that boosts lightning attacks. I go and grab another incantation over here, and this one is supposedly good. I just never really made any use of it, so I guess you can call me stupid if you think it's good. I go back and start to upgrade my new seal. This one has better scaling than the other one I'm going to get, but for now it can stay in my offhand. I then go and kill another Erdtree avatar so I can get the Lightning Crack tier that I was talking about earlier. And kill another Erdtree avatar that drops the fire version of this. With these 2 crack tiers in hand, it's time to fight Ghost Godfrey. Now that I've entered the capital, I've had a very big power spike, so I do a lot of damage. This fight was pretty easy, and I was just able to beat him first try. Now I'm coming for Morgott.
Felled by kings. Tarnished.
Morgott was a pretty easy fight at this point. He is weak to lightning, and also his second phase, the arena fills with water, which makes the lightning do even more damage. He was still able to catch me off guard twice. I did so much damage to him with lightning that he really didn't stand a chance against my build. Once I got the timing down, it was just a matter of time. I reconvened with my schizo girlfriend, and she gives me the key to the lift of the mountains. I leave the capital and make my way to the mountaintop of the giants. I make a run past this little fella and grab the grace, and then go back and beat him up for the fun of it. I then use the medallion that my very real girlfriend gave me and make my way across the bridge. So this next part is really important if you want to do some crazy fire damage. You're going to want to make your way across the chain located here. From this site of grace, you are going to want to run along the cliff edge the entire way down and jump this little gap. This takes you right to the hero's grave where you can find the giant seal. If you use a stone sword key, you can find another incantation in here. This one does come in handy for this hero's grave and also fire giant. Now in order to get the giant seal, you must go past the first flame pillar here. You will go up the stairs and go forward until you get to the elevator. Take the elevator down. When you get to the bottom, send the elevator back up. When it goes back up, you'll notice that there's a little cubby hole in the elevator. Pull the lever and hop in the hole. This will take you down to an area with some watchdogs that you'll have to run past. From the elevator, you'll want to go left and climb the ladder at the end of the hallway. You will then come to a room with a big red guy, and the seal is actually right behind him to the right. Then you can try to kill him if you want, he's not that hard. And with that, you now have the giant seal. Say hello to plus 20% fire damage. Only on certain incantations. I make sure to place it in my offhand and make my way to the castle located here. At the top of the tower behind this fella is the giant's prayer book. After a long and arduous fight with this fella, I decided to just run past him and book it up the tower. I ain't dealing with no ganking dogs. I snag the book, and then I finish off this fool for following me up here. I take the book to the big dog, and I'm able to get 2 new incantations that I will use for the rest of this playthrough. I also decided that it was time to find a new hood, so I went to go grab the painting inside of Castle Sol located here. I hate this little section. Let me tell you, these guys teleporting and blowing me up. This shit's giving me Resident Evil 4 flashbacks. I eventually get past them, and I claim my revenge. I then pop down this little hole and grab the painting. I then head over to the bridge located here to claim my new hood. This hood is epic. It's great, but at the same time, doesn't really fit Wizard. And also the buff is not that good. So I think I'm just going to stick with the navy hood. I finally make my way to the fire giant. Fire giant was another roadblock for me. Not only does this guy have a huge health pool, but he's also basically immune to fire damage. This just leaves me with lightning, but at this point I really only have 2 lightning spells, and only one is really decent, lightning bolt. So I was forced to sit there and chip away at this big dude's health pool. I had to make sure I had good timing in order to not get gobbersmacked by his plate or fireballs or his fat ass. Second phase was where it got a little tough. I really had to worry about how much mana I was using, and the fact he could 2-shot me with pretty much any of his attacks. After several attempts, I was finally able to get the timing down to where I could snatch victory. After beating Fire Giant, I go back to the Round Table Hold and grab the incantation that I learned from killing him. It's actually really useful.
Burn, for the sake of the new Lord, shall one day meet the road of destined death.
After ending up at Farum Azula, I take out the first dragon with Fire Giant's incantation with no problem. Told you it was useful. I then go and destroy the dragon in Altus Plateau with ease, and I get a cool incantation. I did forget to record it, but there is another incantation book located right behind me where I am in Farum Azula. I take the book back to Turtle Pope and get 2 more incantations.
Oh, what?
These 2 are not great for bosses, but they're pretty fun to use on normal mobs. This next part is a really big detour, but it's so I can get some more lightning spells. Past where the Mimic Tier fight is, and all the horned fellas are, you go down this way to get to the gargoyle fight. Fireballs make quick work of the gargoyles. I then go for a little coffin ride. Now that I'm in the deep root depths, I make my way up the tree roots of the area in order to get to Godwin. You jump down here and grab the grace. Here I fight Fia's little gremlins, and the lightning spells really came in handy. Like, I mean, look at this damage. The little gremlins have no idea what hit them. God, I love the red lightning incantations in this game. It's such a shame that they're not the greatest against bosses.
Yet you still wish to be held by me?
I then get held in the longest animation in the entire game. Like, come on, she doesn't even jerk. I then have to run and go get the fingering blade. Bring it to Ronnie. She rewards me with an hourglass that inverts the building over here. I make my way up to the top and find Ronnie's roasted corpse. I then take the curse mark of death and go back to Fia and listen to her yap even more. I have this on 5 times speed, by the way, and she is still taking forever to talk through all this. Yap again. I reload the area, and then I'm able to lay down next to her, and another long animation, and go inside of her dream. Now it's time to fight Placidusax. He's got to be my favorite boss in the game aesthetically. Like, just look at the sky in this arena. It's awesome. The fact that he has a constant red lightning on his body, it's just badass. It's a shame that a well-placed fireball can do 2200 damage to him though. Wish he wasn't so squishy. After a handful of fireballs, he goes down. Once Placidusax is dead, I can go back over to Fia and snag the mending rune off of her corpse. And with that, Fia's quest is done. I go and duplicate Placidusax's memory so I can get both of his incantations. Once again, they're really cool, but probably not great against bosses. The death one is really not good against bosses because you can't even inflict death on bosses. I make a quick detour and grab the fire scorpion charm that's located up here. Now it's time to fight Godskin Duo. Honestly, this fight was pretty simple. Well, maybe not that simple. The two will usually stay away from each other, so just target the fat one, and then the skinny one, and then the fat one, and then the skinny one. Even though they are not weak to fire, fire does much more damage to them than lightning does. This was the method that I used, and they went down with really no problem. Minus the 2 attempts where I failed. With this, I'm finally able to level up my seal to 25. The scaling on the dragon one is a little better than the giant's, that's why I did it. I also quickly snagged the +2 Dragon Crest Shield Talisman. Next up on the docket is Placidusax. Another optional boss, but I want to get his incantation because it seems very broken. I make quick work of the big dragon. And then I run my little legs all the way down to Placidusax's arena. Man, you think they would put America's stake down here because this is probably the worst run back in the entire game. It's time to witness one of the most badass cutscenes in the game. Now it's time to duke it out with Placidusax. Let me tell you, he is not easy. This guy is resistant to both fire and lightning. On top of that, he just kind of flies away from you most of the time. Fire is definitely still the way to go with this guy because it just does so much damage. At first, I tried to use the Flame Pillar incantation, but it was just way too unsafe to use. I switched to only using the Giant Fireball and Flame Fall upon them. This seemed to work out the best because I didn't have to get super close to him. After fighting him a couple times, I realized he does too much damage. I decided to go ahead and grab the Bolt Drake Talisman, and that increases lightning resistance. But even with the lightning damage talisman, he was still two-shotting me. So luckily I found out that there's a lightning incantation that greatly raises your lightning resistance. So I made sure to use that. Even with this incantation, I was still having trouble beating him. I decided to come back later when I had leveled up a bit more. This footage of me beating him didn't happen until after I beat Godfrey. This fight took a lot of patience, a lot of dodging, and also avoiding the laser beam attack. I was out of healing. Placidusax was 1 HP. This was the moment. To showcase how good Placidusax's incantation is, this is what it does to Melania. Ignore the fact that she still beats my ass. I go and grab the Old Lord's Talisman, which helps make buffs last longer, like Flame Grant Me Strength. Also, don't ask why the chest was already open. Don't worry about it. I beat up the other Draconic Tree Sentinel before fighting Maliketh, but I've been forged by this enemy, so this was a cakewalk and I beat him first try. With him out of the way, it's now time to fight Maliketh. First phase is a walk in the park. Beast Clergyman doesn't really have a crazy moveset, so there's not much to worry about since his attacks are very predictable. Now the second phase. Oh, the second phase. The second phase was rough. I could not deal with the pressure that Maliketh puts on you. Thought this was going to be the run, but he had different plans. After all of these attempts, I realized I just need to run. I'd still take a little bit of damage, but I made sure to have enough healing, so this really wouldn't matter. As long as I was running away and launching fireballs, he was taking damage. He does become quite weak to fire in the second phase, and you only really need about 4 fireballs to take him down. It may have taken time, but in the end, the strategy worked out.
Covered destined death. To kill what?
With Maliketh out of the way, it's time to run the final gauntlet of bosses and do what no wizard has done before. I wake up in the Ashen Capital and make my way over to the sewer to grab the health talisman here. I make my way up the capital, and now it's time to fight Sir Gideon.
And here you come.
And we continue to struggle. Unto eternity.
I mess up in the end because I didn't stun lock him on the first try, and he proceeded to kill me, but it was close. It took a couple more tries, but once I was able to learn that I could stun lock him whenever he was trying to Common Azure my ass, it wasn't too bad. Once I figured this out, it was only a matter of just dodging the other attacks until I could strike. This was not too bad of a fight with this build.
I know in my bones.
Then we were on to my favorite boss in the entire game, Godfrey.
Alas, I, Godfrey, Lord.
This fight was tough. At this point in the playthrough, I had to deal with lightning falling off hard with damage compared to fire. And to top it all off, Godfrey has a 40% resistance to fire and lightning. Yippee! So the logical choice was to go with fire. It still does some hardy damage, but it was not really fast enough to throw it around willy-nilly. I had to yet again learn the safe windows where I could pelt him with fire, and the windows where I could not. This especially came into effect in Phase 2, where, oh boy, does he get aggressive.
Siraj. Now I fight just...
The only positive thing about the second phase is that he does take increased fire damage, because he's naked, so that's a bonus. There is a lot less opportunities to fireball his ass in second phase though, because he's constantly spamming grabs. After failing multiple times in the second phase, I decided to go ahead and grab the talisman that increases your mana. It's located at Castle Sol. Just pay attention to where the talisman is. Don't worry about what happens afterwards. I didn't really use this talisman though. I instead decided to use the health talisman that I found in the sewer, and I guess that little bit of extra health was all I needed to attain victory. He got his licks in on me, but in the end, I still got him. It's now time for the main event. Radagon and the Elden Beast. Now this fight was very frustrating to do with my build, let me tell you. First, I had to deal with Radagon, and like bosses before him, he is resistant to lightning, but the one saving grace is that he's actually weak to fire. Now, that sounds great, right? Wrong! Radagon still has this one dumb, stupid move where he will hold his arm up and stiff arm my big ass fireball. He just hits me with that nuh-uh, like I'm hitting him with that dollar store pepper spray. Also, he does so much holy damage. I went out of the way to get the +2 holy damage talisman, But even with that shit on, he still does so much holy damage, it's actually crazy. Also, if you get a certain distance away from the guy, he will shotgun blast you with holy damage, or summon a holy lightning bolt, and sometimes he'll do these back to back. And to top it all off, there are times when he will just teleport right as you throw a fireball at him, negating the entire attack, just because he went invisible. To summarize, he takes damage, but damn is it hard to hit him. After many attempts, I finally get a strategy down that's pretty consistent, and with it, I'm able to get to the Elden Beast about 70% of the time. Speaking of the Elden Beast is not a hard boss. We all know that. He's just an endurance test to see if you can last long enough to kill him. It's just very annoying to have to deal with him constantly running and flying away from you. Also, Elden Beast, like Godfrey, is resistant to fire and lightning, but again, fire is stronger late game, so once again I rolled with that. Maybe there was a more powerful spell that could have worked better on him, but I just stuck with old reliable of Flame Fall Upon Them. You know how I said this fight was an endurance test? Yeah, it really was. There was one run where I just ran out of mana, and I was not able to kill Elden Beast because of this. I literally got him down to 1 HP. Couldn't do it. Yes, I know I was using my fist, but my fist only do like 5 damage, and I just wanted to see if I could punch him once and kill him. But I still couldn't do that. And before you say you should have used a Starlight Shard, I tried to. I remembered it right at the end, but it didn't matter because he still killed me.
No! No! I forgot about that.
This run was the run. I was feeling it. I still had 2 flasks left of mana. 1 more flask left of healing. All I needed to do was hit him a couple more times and he would be dead. He lived on 1 HP after my final fireball, but it didn't matter. I still had 1 more. I actually had a lot more, but that's okay. You can hear the pain in my yes at the end. Oh god.
Yes.
And with that, the game is finished. I went ahead and did Fia's ending, since, well, I'd never done it before, and I finally 100% of the game. If you've made it this far in the video, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like and pressed that subscribe button. This was quite the undertaking of a video to make, and reflecting back, this build was a crazy one. At times I was very strong, at other times I was very weak. Did I do this build perfectly? No, I very much doubt I did, and there will probably be somebody in the comments who will have to explain to me why everything I did was terrible and I should feel bad about it. But, you know, I enjoyed the challenge. It was a pretty fun build, and I had never done a Faith build in Elden Ring yet. Maybe you would like to attempt this build as well, and hey, go for it. If you want to change the rules, you do you. Just have fun with it. See, I told you I 100%ed it. Here are my final stats for this build, and as for Mohg and Malenia and Rykard, maybe I'll go and beat them for another video, especially Mohg for the DLC, but for now, I want to take a break from this build. It was a lot. Thank you for watching, and feel free to check out my other stuff if you want. See you later.